everyone, and welcome to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host. Now, my guest today is Stefanie Hubbard, the creative force behind the new film Lilly Darling, a punk rock romance. Now, one of the joys that I have here of doing Stream On, we've done it now for 4 years, over 200 podcasts. As you know, we've interviewed pretty much major executives from all of the key streaming services, stars from many of the shows. But as much fun as that is, to me, the real fun is finding little gems and turning you on to them. Finding little streaming services or things that you just have never seen before. Well, such is the case this week. As I said, Stefanie Hubbard is my guest. Now, Lilly Darling, a punk rock romance, is a labor of love for Stefanie because she wrote it and she directed it. Presently streaming on Pure Magic Pictures. Now, you may remember a while back that Stefanie and her husband Kalani came on the podcast to talk about Pure Magic just as they were getting ready to launch. It's an outstanding streaming service, lots of really fun and creative stuff, and things that you're not going to find on Netflix or Amazon or Disney Plus or any of the other majors, because this is a mom and pop shop and they do an outstanding job. So it's really a treat to have Stefanie on today and to chat with her about her new film, Lilly Darling. And Steph, I got to say this. You know, in sports, specifically in baseball, when someone can do everything, they're called a five-tool player. Now, that's a very elite title, five-tool player. But clearly, my friend, you are a five-tool filmmaker. You can direct, you can write, you can produce. And in this case, you also help run the streaming service, hence the term mom and pop shop. But kudos to you for putting together a charming movie, Lilly Darling, a punk rock romance. Let's talk about that.
Well, thank you so much. I'd love to tell you about Lilly Darling. So Lilly Darling is my first feature-length film that I wrote and directed, and it is a punk rock romance about like these emo teenagers that fall in love, and it's set back in 2006. So it's just a really good time. It's full of nostalgia, romance. It has such a fun score with a bunch of source music from different indie bands, and we have a Mayday Parade song and an early November song, and then my husband actually did a lot of composing for the music that's all like very guitar driven, so it kind of all comes together, and it's just this really fun experience of celebrating punk rock and alternative culture. And you know, it's got a good teen romance and some really fun characters in it as well. So that's Lilly Darling.
You know, after seeing the trailer, I now realize I have to learn to play the bass. And it's a little inside joke, folks. You look at the trailer; it's on YouTube. There'll be a link in the show box below, and you'll get the joke. You know, the two folks who play the lead characters in the film are very talented, and they've got very, very good chemistry. Tell me a little bit about your casting of the show. I'm sorry, the movie.
Yes, I could not agree with you more. Riley Rose, who plays Darling in the film, the lead, she just holds down that role so well. And it was just this like God ordained, how did we get perfect person to play this character? Like she was Darling. She just embodied her so perfectly, and she just got the character. It just clicked with her so well. It just didn't really feel like that far of a stretch for her to get there, which it is a compliment because she is a very talented actress, but I feel like, sometimes a role is maybe a further stretch for an actor, or sometimes it's going to come more naturally. And this role just came so naturally to her. I was like, tap into your upbeat, bubbly, go lucky, whimsical side. And she just totally did. And I remember when I was watching through all of the audition tapes for Darling, I had my maybe pile and my no pile. And as I was going through, when I saw Riley Rose's audition for Darling,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. I'm like, I'm not watching another audition. She's the one. Like, she has to play Darling. It was just completely perfect. I had no doubt in my mind. And I was so nervous when I called her to ask her if she could play the role, because I wanted her to
Mm-hmm.
say yes so bad. I was trying not to get my hopes up to set myself up for
Right.
disappointment if for some reason the scheduling didn't work out or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really fun. I definitely put a lot of myself in the Darling character, and there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot of the Darling character that Riley can relate to. And so I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, um, Riley and I just ended up naturally having a lot in common in that way. And so we definitely got along really well on set. I feel like we became buds. I ended up joking around a lot by the end of filming that she was like my little mini me because we just, everything worked out so well. And then Jake Blakesley, who played Ollie, the love
Mm-hmm.
interest in the film opposite of Darling. Oh, that I'm going to be completely real. Like, a little bit of the behind the scenes of
Sure.
filmmaking was the most last minute casting I've ever had. I looked high and low for Ollie. It was like I could make an entire documentary about finding Ollie.
Eh.
He was so hard to find, and I was so nervous, and I just kept feeling this sense of peace. Like, don't worry about it. You're going to find him. It's just going to be at the last
Mm-hmm.
minute. And it was days before the table read. Like, we had the table read on the calendar. We had the dates for filming on the calendar. They were not movable. And I was like, we have to find Ollie. This is so important. There has to be the
Sure.
chemistry. He has to have all of this. And I looked and looked, and finally, at the very last second, Jake Blakesley's audition tape came in. And again, it was just like this, oh, this is perfect. I hope he's available. And it was literally like,
Mm-hmm.
we want you to be the lead in this feature film. Can you come to the table
Right.
read? It's in like 5 days. It was like so last minute. But working with Jake was so great, and like the chemistry between him and Riley just worked out so well. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
so thankful that we were able to find the two of them.
It's funny that you say that. Jed Mercurio, who for the BBC has produced Line of Duty, which is one of the highest rated shows there, as well as Bodyguard, not The Bodyguard, but Bodyguard, which is a Netflix film, has
Mhm.
said that when he was casting for the show, that he had a pile of okay, maybes, callbacks, and killed it. And he goes, there was only one name in the kill it file. So
Mhm.
clearly that's what happened here. The other, to parallel what you're talking about, he also said that he was up against it trying to find a lead character. And Adrian Dunham um, is literally at a restaurant that he's at. He goes over and says hi. Adrian says hi. He says, well, so what are you up to? And he says, you know what? Just finished the show. Got nothing going on. And he said, I'm going to send something over. Look at it. Tell me what you think. Calls him back 48 hours later. He cast his guy 2 weeks before they had to start filming without a lead character. So it
Wow.
happens. It happens to those with big budgets, and it happens with those who I know from your standpoint, you do everything organically and in a very wonderful indie fashion,
Mhm.
and I think that what makes Pure Magic fun is that what you are creating something that you're passionate about, and you know you don't have 5 or 6 people from the network or the streaming service or whatever sending you show notes. You're your basic writer, director, showrunner, and I think that is something that is fresh and fun, especially in these movies like you created with Lilly Darling.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had so much fun creating it, and that's really what we're doing all the way around from the cast to the crew to how we get
Mm-hmm.
the music in the film and everything like that. I mean, I reached out to some of my favorite, all-time favorite indie bands like Fluorescence and Friend
Mm-hmm.
Circle and Moonroof and Mattagram and Raccoon Tour. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like, will you let me use your music in this film?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all so graciously like, yes, like they are so excited to get to be a part of the film, and I'm so excited to get to have them in the film. And we actually made the Lilly Darling mix CD. We're lovingly calling it the mix CD because it's from
There you go.
2006, right? But it's a playlist, and it's on Spotify and Apple Music, and it's every single song that's in the movie in a playlist. And you can find that on lilydarling.com. We have, the website for the film is
Mm-hmm.
lilydarling.com, where we put the playlist. But people who love the movie, then they go and they listen to the playlist as well, and they're like digging the playlist. And then, we have also made some merch of, like classic, iconic wardrobe pieces from the film. You can actually buy
Mm-hmm.
Cole's hoodie or Darling's hoodie from the movie as well. And I think the fans of the film have like really loved buying Cole's hoodie and like being like, listening to the playlist and just being completely engrossed in this film. It's like its own little, it's more than a film. I guess is where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going with that.
It's become a community.
Thank you. You said it so beautifully. It's become its own Lilly Darling community, and as thankful as I am that we got these indie bands to let us put their music in there, we did
Yeah.
also get Mayday Parade, Motion City Soundtrack, and the Early November all
Mm-hmm.
have a featured song in the film as well. So it's just a complete nod and appreciation of the style of music and the culture and the time. And I just think anybody who was an emo kid in 2006 or wish they was the
Mm-hmm.
emo kid in 2006, like, will absolutely love this film.
You know, going back behind the ropes again, as you say, behind the scenes, I don't think people out there who aren't in the business realize how difficult getting music for a film is, and how much that can cost you
Mm-hmm.
just to get one song cleared, and sometimes it takes months to get that stuff
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. And the fact that you were able to get these bands and to get them involved, again, it just shows that sense of community that you have with Blue Magic, and obviously you created with Lilly Darling. And hey, the most important thing, you got merch. You've made it when you got merch, right? I mean, because that means people are out there on their own pitching the movie by simply wearing a T-shirt.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the people who have discovered Lily Darling like absolutely love it. And they just want to be that much more part of it. I've had people tell me they've watched Lily Darling like 6 or 7 times. I'm like, "Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, you've watched I technically have because I'm the one who edited. I was in the editing
Right,
room
yeah, I
and
was
I was
gonna
like, you know
say
what I mean?
you.
Like,
I'm sure you've seen it
wow.
more than once. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, wow, there's very few movies that I've watched 6 or 7 times. Like I feel so honored and
Hmm.
humbled that a movie I wrote and directed somebody loved so much that they just watch it over and over like that, and just like I'm just so blown away by that. I could tear up thinking about it.
Well, it's a testimony to, again, your passion, your ability
Mhm.
to do something that is very, very difficult, and that is take something from your head and create a story, and then make that story come to life. That is not
Mhm.
an easy thing to do.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for saying that. I think, yeah, a lot of people are kind of used to just hit and play and watching something and not really thinking about where it came from and the amount of work that goes into it. And it definitely takes a lot of work and passion and dedication, but I can say it's one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And all the blood, sweat, and tears were completely worth it.
So let's talk for a second about Blue Magic. Um, you guys, you and Kalani, your husband, started this and it's grown, and it's just getting better and bigger all the time with
Mhm.
wonderful programming. And you've got, we were talking earlier, and you had said that you've got a couple of shows that you're very excited about.
Yes, we do. In fact, just yesterday we wrapped production on the next couple episodes of our late night comedy show. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a late night comedy show called Good Night Tonight, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a fun, fresh, new, completely indie take on a late night talk show. So,
Okay.
it's got comedy, it's got like monologues and stand up, and we also are filling it with lots of fun little sketches, kind of like old school Saturday Night Live, bits and
Mm-hmm.
sketches with different characters. And we're having really fun and entertaining and unique guest stars come onto the
Mm-hmm.
show. So we just had Gershon, who's the Kid Six on TikTok, come on and
Mm-hmm.
talk about skateboard culture in New York City. And then we had a fun bit with him where he did a pop shove it on everyone's problems from the audience. You just have to watch
Mm-hmm.
it if you want to understand. But we've also had like really cool comedians and magicians from New York, just really unique, entertaining, talented people who maybe aren't at a place yet in their career where they're going to get invited onto Jimmy Fallon,
Mm-hmm.
but are still going to just blow you away with like their story and what it is that they're doing. And then in addition to that, we also have our version of, we have indie bands, local indie
Mm-hmm.
bands, or come and perform on the show as well. All, usually punk rock music, something in that genre. That's really like
Mm-hmm.
the genre behind Pure Magic Pictures. Um, and they get to come and show off their stuff and do a cool, like usually a little bit acoustic version of their songs. So that show has been really fun. That's called Good Night Tonight. And we do have the Good Night Tonight Instagram, good_night_tonight. Or you can also, go to goodnighttonight.pictures if you want to be in the audience, because we have an audience for the show. So you can even come and be in the audience. And we love having an audience too, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
really fun way to also meet other people. A lot of times the people who come into our audience are actors or, in the
Mm-hmm.
industry in some way, and we get a chance to meet them there. But this show has been just really fun and refreshing. And when people find out about it and see how it's different than what's already out there, they just really fall in love with the concept. And they're like, wow, we needed this and we didn't even know it, and we want more of it. And so it's
Yeah,
always fun to hear people say that.
100%. The other thing with a live audience in doing those types of shows is the comedians or the magicians or the bands react so much better when it's just not a cold studio setting.
Mhm.
When they can play off the crowd or they get crowd reaction, which is what they're normally used to, they seem to perform better.
Right. That is so true. Yeah, it definitely just makes the atmosphere in the room that much more fun and enjoyable. So we love that we're able to, just in our little studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where we operate out
Hmm.
of all the time. We just set it up and we just fit an audience in there, like very indie,
Hey,
making it
you make
happen.
it work.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And then the other show we're really excited about is we do have a news show that we're doing, which
Uh-huh.
I know might seem like surprising for who we are and what we do. Like we mostly do narrative and things like that, but
Sure.
we just really wanted to provide a place where people can go and watch the news and have it be a really pleasant, upbeat, fun experience, no
Hmm.
downers, nothing upsetting, right? And the
Right.
type of stories that we cover are usually anything nerdum, geek culture. We like to talk about tech, movies, video games, card games, what's going on in the world of, these different things. Somebody who might enjoy going to Comic
Comic
Con
Con.
would
Yeah.
also probably enjoy our new show that's called Good Magical Morning. And of course, we have the Instagram and the TikTok for that as well.
Hmm.
Good_magical_morning. But you'll see a theme here that we have our Good Magical Morning and our Good Night Tonight. And Good Magical Morning comes out on Monday mornings, and Good Night Tonight comes out on Friday nights. So we've got your
There
week
you go.
covered with some, feel good shows, and that's kind of the motto of Pure Magic Pictures, the streaming platform as a whole. Like, what is cohesive? What are we? Well, we're the only independent feel good platform. So if you come here and you watch anything on our platform, that it's going to be feel good.
And I think we can all, in this day and age, use, no matter how old we are, use something that is feel good, because there's a lot of not feel good around.
Yeah, I feel like everyone else has the not feel good covered. let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go make something that puts people in a good mood.
Stay in your lane. Yeah, stay in your
Yeah,
lane, because the
we
other
found a
lanes are pretty full at this point in time. And that's not
exactly.
necessarily a good thing. One of the
Mhm.
other things about Pure Magic is that you guys are very, very diverse. And I think that's important, because you're creating um, a streaming service that is kind of, as you've said, and Kalani, and I've spoken to both of you, um, it's really kind of like reflective of the community you live in, which is, the Brooklyn area, but definitely reflective of what the country has become. And that's a great thing.
Yes, thank you so much for exactly. You said it so well. I mean, we're in Brooklyn, New York, so that's just gonna happen naturally for us, which I think is a beautiful thing. Absolutely love living in Brooklyn. Well, New York City as a whole, but especially like, I have a heart for Brooklyn, best
Mm-hmm.
borough, right? But I love the culture here. I love like the diversity here. I love the foods that are here and everything. It's such a wonderful place to live, and it's such a great place to operate a film studio and a streaming service out of, because those things it just happens so naturally. I don't even really have to. There it is.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's
uh,
um, it's also the best place to actually see New York City, Manhattan, is from Brooklyn. Um, it's just the walk there, across the river. You can see the whole skyline lit up. It's it's definitely plus, and Brooklyn's back. I mean, Brooklyn was, out there for a while where it didn't really have an identity, and now it seems to have recaptured that. And I'm with you. I'm not a Manhattan kind of guy. I'm definitely down with Brooklyn. So there you go.
mhm.
You got Brooklyn proud. So
Yes,
let's
very
talk about
Brooklyn
some of the
proud.
stuff that's coming up.
I would love to tell you about what we have coming up. So, we're working on multiple projects right now, as I'm sure you can imagine, right? Because that's who we
Mm-hmm.
are, indie film studio, making our own things for our own streaming service. So we've got to keep things coming. So one thing that we're working on that we're very excited about is our first narrative TV show series. It's going to be like a sitcom, a comedy
Okay.
series, and it is called Dino Guru. So we're
All
really
right.
excited about it. It is a show about a group of friends who are all players of a trading card game called Dino
Mm-hmm.
Guru. And so, they're in Brooklyn and they're going to different Dino Guru tournaments, and it's just a really fun story of them playing Dino Guru. So I think if I were to point to a show to say it's kind of like blank, it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Community, or 30 Rock, or The Office, or Parks and Rec, has like that kind of a vibe to it. But
Yeah.
then of course it's difficult doing that, because then when it comes out, it's going to be very unique, right? It's going to be its own thing. But if
Mm-hmm.
I tried to point to something, that's what it would be. And one of the really fun things about creating the TV show Dino Guru is that in order to do so, we're also creating the actual playable trading card game Dino Guru that the characters play in the TV show. And so,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a trading card game, kind of like, Digimon or Magic the Gathering or
Sure.
Pokemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's you buy the decks, you build your deck, and you battle people with
Sure.
Dino Guru, which is little adorable, cute dinosaurs. And so it's been so much fun. We've been building the game, we've been testing the deck. We actually have some friends who are professional Digimon and Pokemon players who have come and helped us
Okay.
play our decks that we've built and give us feedback on how to make the game even better. So the game will be coming out and be purchasable alongside with the TV show. So that has been a really fun project, and we have the most talented illustrator drawing all of these dinosaurs. So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
see what the dinosaurs in Dino Guru are looking like, you can always see on the Dino Guru Instagram. It's, at Dino Guru Pure Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can also sign up for our newsletter at puremagicpictures.com as well. But it's really fun to just see this coming together, like one dinosaur at a time, coming in and getting to name the dinosaur and what moves does it have and things like that. So Dino Guru has been so much fun to work on, and that's going to be written and directed by my husband Kalani, but I'll be
Okay.
producing it and doing all the things. So that we're really excited about.
You'll handle the showrunner aspect of it.
Yeah, somebody has to make sure that all the logistics are in place. So I'll be doing the logistics, and then additionally, also this year we're doing a lot all at once, but we're also making our next feature-length film, and this one is called
Mm-hmm.
The Squatchers, and it's about a group of friends who go upstate New York and go Sasquatch hunting. They're going to go look for Bigfoot. And so
There you
this
go.
has been so much fun to work on. It's also written and directed by Kalani, and he wrote and directed Plunder
Mm-hmm.
Quest. And just like
Right.
Plunder Quest, it has that 80s Spielberg vibes and inspiration. So, picking up from Back to the Future or the Goonies or Indiana Jones,
Right.
E.T., like those kinds of that vibe, that tone of film. I feel like you don't really see movies coming out that feel the way those movies felt. And so it's definitely going to have
No.
that feel to it. And it's an adventure, but also a bit of a comedy, about
Mm-hmm.
friends that are looking for Bigfoot, so it's going to be a lot of fun, called The Squatchers. And we've been having so much fun creating a mask, like an actual custom, molded mask for
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot himself. And we've casted Bigfoot. He's a good friend of ours now. Since casting him, we've already hung out a few times, and he came to some parties in our studio and stuff. And he's really excited to do the creature work and be in the Bigfoot costume running around. So it's going to be so much fun.
I mean, you got some pretty good pull if you can get Bigfoot to star in your film. That's not a bad situation there. That's better than
Yeah.
scoring. That's better than scoring Brando for The Godfather.
I mean, I
It's
guess
pretty cool.
we've made it now. We were able to get Bigfoot in
Yeah,
our
you know
movie.
what? Yeah, that's right. Make a phone call. Bigfoot says I'm there. You know,
Yeah,
doesn't haggle over
exactly.
contracts. No agent. Just whatever you need, I'm here.
He's actually
So,
surprisingly easy to work with.
well, there you go. Of course, he has big feet, so you have to be careful in that aspect. But yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
you're so right about the Spielberg-esque um, genre of Indiana Jones and those shows because those movies because they were playful. There was
Right.
no in those days when they were doing it. There was no green screens. There were no CGI stuff. I mean, whatever you saw, you
Mhm.
had that was there.
Mhm.
Nowadays, they could do a movie and literally, not leave the soundstage and make it look like they're on the moon or, like The Mandalorian or some of these things are done by George Lucas for Disney Plus. When you look at where they're shot, you know, literally you couldn't tell if you didn't know what was there because it's all digitally and computer generated. Um,
Mhm.
but that was the beauty of the Spielberg stuff was it wasn't. They didn't have that technology. So what you saw was, stunt people and all kinds of fun things. So no, it sounds like you guys have got plenty of good stuff going on. All right, kiddo, here we go. You've got the elevator pitch, I call it shameless plugs. It's my term, not yours. Um, give me what you want people to know about Lilly Darling, about Pure Magic, and about where they can find it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a gap in entertainment right now. There's definitely something missing. And if you feel that as well, I think you might be able to
Mhm.
find it at puremagicpictures.com. It's fresh, it's new, it's authentic, it's genuine, it's made by the artists, and it's going from the artist directly to you, skipping over all of the middlemen. It's like we're
Mhm.
making it and putting it on our platform, and I think it's something that a lot of people would really enjoy and would really resonate with them. So, check out, we have a lot of movies and shows on there, and there's only more to come. And we'd love for you to come be a part of it, be a part of the community. As you said, the part of the family of Pure Magic Pictures, and we're extremely reach out toable. We're extremely approachable. So if you come and you check out what we're doing, reach out to us on Instagram, send us an email. You will hear back from me directly, because that's who we are. We are the mom and
Mhm.
pop movie shop, and we would love to hear from you. So that's my elevator pitch.
Special thanks to my guest today, Stefanie Hubbard. Be sure to check out her new film, Lilly Darling, a punk rock romance, streaming now on Pure Magic Pictures. Take the 7-day free trial and really kick the tires and have fun watching all of the great content they have there. And I'm pretty sure you're going to hang around and subscribe. So check it out. Again, all the information on Stefanie's visit here today with Stream On and how you might be able to get involved with Pure Magic is all in the show box below. Okay, so check it out. We'll be back with more of Stream On right after this from Ford. Is it possible that a pickup truck could change the world? Well, the F-150 is trying to do it right now.
Can a truck change everything? Well, it could change our company, pointing the way forward for 180,000 of us across the globe towards a digital future with connected experiences and over-the-air updates. It can change the Rouge yet again, helping write the next chapter of American manufacturing. It can change the way we build forever, creating state-of-the-art, zero-waste to landfill facilities that change communities and regions along the way. It can change how Americans, how the world, feels about electric vehicles. It can change who we think drives a truck, who drives an EV, who drives a Ford. That's a lot for one truck to do, but this thing's just getting started. Turn it on, and it will change how you think about driving, about towing, hauling, about powering a campsite or a work site. It's the only EV that's an F-150, the only EV built for tough, the only EV smart enough, fast enough, tough enough to carry our name. So can this truck change everything? Well, let's find out.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host. Now, if you're not one of the over 75,000 people who've taken the time to subscribe to Stream On and be part of our worldwide community, by the way, we're happy to see that we've added some more folks from Australia this week, and good to have you on. Good day to all of you. It's fun to be part of a community of people who are passionate about streaming video, passionate about television, passionate about good quality programming. And it doesn't matter where in the world it comes from. That's one of our little joys, is finding those nuggets and passing them on to you. So if you want to subscribe to the podcast, as I said before, it's easy. All right? It's free. You can find us at the Apple Podcast Store. You can find us at Google Play. You can find us at Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, as well as iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible. You can find us on Amazon and YouTube. And speaking of Amazon, if you happen to have a connected device like Alexa or Siri or Google, all you have to do is ask them to play the latest edition of Stream On with Jim Williams, and guess what? They'll play it for you. Now, if after all that you still can't find us, well then, here's what you need to do. You need to pull out the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, favorite button and like button, and subscribe. It's simple. That way, each week you're going to get a brand new edition of the podcast sent directly to your phone, your tablet, or to both. So please go out there and help us out by subscribing to Stream On. We would greatly appreciate it. Now, a couple of big news items this week that kind of flew under the radar. Let's start with this one. NBC is reportedly considering the possibility of dumping the 10 o'clock primetime hour and giving it back to their affiliates. Now, that would not happen overnight. And by the way, it has been something that's been going on, or at least they've been looking into it for a couple of years now. It goes all the way back to in 2009 when Jay Leno's 10 o'clock primetime show was bringing new meaning to the term ratings disaster. NBC affiliates across the country were howling about the damage the network's latest attempt to save money was doing to their late night news. So affiliates personally, they like Jay. Everyone likes Jay. I like Jay. But television is for business, and that cuts no slack. So NBC quickly returned to a traditional programming, sensing the rare opportunity to perhaps change the paradigm. A number of stations lobbied NBC to shrink primetime, giving back the 10 o'clock hour, something they would like to do and use for starting a news block that we now see on many Fox stations that begins at 10 p.m. and ends at 11:30. Now, why is that important to affiliates? Well, affiliates make their money off of news, and the possibility of a shortened prime time, say from 8 to 10, just like Fox did when they launched and still do to this day. CW does the same thing. It's profitable for NBC affiliates around the country to have that extra hour for which, as I said before, they can cash in on the news product. Now, this is not something that's going to happen overnight, okay? And to many, even though, as I said before, it started the conversation in 2009, it is still something that will take time to implement if indeed they decide to pull the trigger on the 10 o'clock hour. But this also has to do with streaming services, because of all of the different product and prime time being any time that you want it to be, there's less watching of linear television, which is broadcast networks, and the shows, especially the ones that we see on NBC and other networks, the scripted programming, like Law and Order and such, those cost a lot of money to produce. And so the networks have tried ways, mainly of using the reality type programming to get them by. But after a while, that gets tiresome. So anyway, this is an interesting thing. Watch and keep an eye on it. It's not going to happen, as I said, overnight. It could happen within a year. It could be 2 years. But the situation of the cost of producing quality primetime programming now in a very combative and very competitive situation with regard to streaming services out there, and it makes network TV much more difficult to sell to advertisers. It makes it much more difficult to produce 22 episodes a year of each program when you see Netflix and others producing anywhere from 10 to 12 and still doing well with it. So this is going to be something we want to keep an eye on. Just keeps a heads up on it. And so by all means, keep an eye on what's going on with NBC, and if NBC is getting ready to kick that 10 o'clock hour back to their affiliates. Meanwhile, on the sports side, if you are a tennis fan, and I am, you know that this week is none other than the U.S. Open, one of my favorite events in Flushing Meadows, New York. It'll be on ESPN, and I hope that you'll have time to check out Venus Williams. It is going to be her swan song as far as tennis goes. She's a world-class athlete. She's the GOAT. She is the greatest of all time. And so Venus is playing in Flushing Meadows. Check that out. A lot of great tennis all weekend long on ESPN. Our friends over at ESPN and the ESPN app, as well as ESPN Plus. So by all means, check it out. And another thing, again, talking sports, there's a number of outstanding college football games this weekend. Georgia and Oregon. That's going to be Saturday, and that's going to be 3:30. Cincinnati and Arkansas, also Saturday, and that one's going to be, again, 3:30. Utah and Florida, my Gators taking on the Utes. That's going to be a 7 o'clock primetime game on ESPN. Notre Dame at Ohio State. I know a lot of people are excited about that game. That game's going to happen on ABC at 7:30 on Saturday night. And then we close out the weekend with Florida State taking on LSU at the Superdome in almost said in Baton Rouge, but it's in New Orleans. That game Sunday night, and that also is a primetime game, 7:30 on ABC and the ESPN app. So plenty of fun stuff. We hope that you have a safe and enjoyable holiday weekend. We're getting into September, boys and girls, so the fall season of television is coming, and it's coming fast. So we'll be ready for that when we see you again a week from today. Until that time, have a wonderful and safe holiday weekend. Thanks for joining us, and for the entire team here at Stream On, I'm Jim Williams saying thanks, have a great week. We'll see you next time right here on Stream On.